The Chicago Bulls take on the Houston Rockets today. Can they keep their four-game winning streak alive? Or will this be the wake-up call that many Bulls fans, pro-tanking Bulls fans, are hoping that the Chicago Bulls get? We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, hosted by Haize, your number one spot for all things Chicago Bulls.
What's going on, Bulls fans, man? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of not Locked On, of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, let's go ahead and get into it for today. Pre-game show, the Bulls taking on the Houston Rockets today. This is going to be a major test for the Chicago Bulls. When you look at the way that the Houston Rockets play defense, specifically how they don't allow a lot of, a high percentage at the rim, this is going to be a really fun game to watch how the Bulls overcome something that they've done really good at. The Bulls really over the last few weeks have become a team that attacks the paint a lot more. The Houston Rockets are a team that's really good at controlling that paint. So we'll see what happens there, man. They're going to have to really try to run a very good offense. You still want to attack the paint, right? You don't want to avoid trying to attack the paint just because they're a really good paint protecting team, but you do, want to get creative in how three-point shooting is going to be really important in this game. And we'll see how that's going to shake out for this game. EJ Liddell, nobody cares. Lonzo Ball, Io DeSumo, of course, are out today. Josh Giddey was listed as doubtful today. He's not playing. It is what it is, man. The thing that's concerning is that Lonzo Ball, they say, is not doing anything on the court right now. That's really interesting, especially considering that it's a wrist sprain, that he's not doing anything on the court at all, right? Kobe White was listed as probable, but it seems like he's playing today, so no real worries there. They're going to be without Tari Eason today. Is not going to be playing, as well as the Thompson twin. What is it? I can't remember which Thompson twin they have there. So that's going to ease up a lot of the Houston Rockets defense. But other than that, the Bulls are just have to be in attack mode, man. They're going to have to play well. They're going to have to shoot the ball well, protect the ball, because this is a Houston Rockets team that is able to force turnovers really well. So you got to look out for that. And we'll see how the Bulls are prepared in this one, man. I think overall, this is one of those games where if the Bulls do not come out here prepared, they're going to get their asses handed to them. They're going to get punched in the damn face, and it's going to be ugly. And so we're going to have to see how the Bulls are, and how Billy Donovan and his coaching staff really has them ready for today's game, because this is a game that it could turn very ugly, very quick for the Chicago Bulls if they aren't prepared. Let's hope that they are, man. The Bulls have played with a lot of heart, which has really been great to see, right? To see this team play with the heart that they've been playing with. But this is a Rockets team that is third, I think, right now in the Western Conference. This is no team to overlook at all. You get caught slipping against a Houston Rockets team like this, you're going to get your ass kicked. Period, point blank. So you want to look out for that one. For some reason, I can't see your guys' comments, so I am not ignoring you guys. It's just not coming through restream for some reason. I had to pull up YouTube to see you guys. I'm like, why they been so quiet? So we got Rob in the building. He says that Michigan-Maryland game was solid. It was a really fun game. Whole lot of bull. Shout out to Troy. He says, how you doing, Haize? I'm doing pretty good. Per Joe Cali, Giddey has started sprinting, but not yet cutting. That's good. That's a really good sign that Josh Giddey is starting to do some really good things there, man. Let's hope that we keep that on. Let's see. Josh says there's only a decent defender as Brooks without Amen and Tari. You got to attack the paint. Well, they still run pretty good team defense. Don't forget that when you look at it, their coach is a really good schematic team, right? So I get that they are missing some very important one-on-one defenders with that team, but don't overlook their ability to still crowd the paint, right? Yep, Jalen Greens is not a great defender at all, right? Dylan Brooks is probably their best on-ball defender. This is still a team that can absolutely, get after it defensively. So you got those solid defensive fundamentals. Ime Udoka is going to have them ready and prepared with a really good defensive scheme. So I get that they're missing some pieces there. Make no mistake about it. I'm not going to act like they're not. But the Bulls just gotta keep going, man. And this is a team that you gotta keep them on the heels. If you allow them to get too comfortable, it's gonna get ugly for you real quick. And you don't want that to happen. So, we'll see if the Bulls really are prepared for that, this is still a team that I still look at, and I say to myself, if the Bulls win today, right? I want to be clear. If the Bulls are able to win this game today, be prepared for it to turn into an absolute and utter shit show. It's going to turn into an absolute and utter shit show, y'all. As far as the pro tankers versus the let's just figure it out. And we'll see what goes there. Reginald Short says, hey, Shy Bulls podcast has a debate. Which Jay-Z album was better, the Blueprint or Reasonable Doubt? Blueprint 2 was the more complete album. As far as like everything that you look for, if you're talking about just rapping, Reasonable Doubt's an amazing album lyrically. But when you talk about sonically, commercial hits, all that type of thing, Blueprint 2 is just a little bit above that. They're both amazing albums, both amazing albums. Vaughn says, I really like Lonzo, but I'm cool on his injury risk at this point, especially having Trey Jones. It sucks because Zoe brings good size at the guard, but it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, at this point, what can you do? What can you really do, man? Lonzo's injury history is Lonzo's injury history. Now, my hope is, and I've talked about this, I have a conspiracy theory on this, right? I have a conspiracy theory that the Bulls did not want to risk Lonzo getting hurt, but they already have a trade partner locked in for him. That's just my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's just my personal opinion because it just doesn't make sense. When you look at this whole Lonzo Ball injury thing, right? I made the joke on Locked on Bulls. I said that a team called and said, hey, Chicago, we got something for you this offseason. We need you to bubble wrap up the product, though. We need you to, and Pat made the joke. He said shipping and handling, right? So you got to handle them right. Because when you look at it, like, let's be clear, he has a wrist injury, but he's doing nothing on the court. Like you can cut, you can run, right? Especially if it's not one of those wrist injuries that has the chance of turning into a grade 3. Like you can still do a lot. So to hear that Lonzo's not doing anything on the court, I don't know, man. Maybe I just got my conspiracy theory hat on. That seems a little weird to me. Seems just a little strange to me that he's doing nothing on the court with a sprained wrist. Now, I could be wrong. For all I know, it could be a severely sprained wrist. Lonzo just can't. Maybe it is close to another grade 3 sprain, right? Maybe it is again what it looked like earlier in the season, where if he tries to be too mobile with it, it can turn into a grade 3, and then he has to get surgery, right? So maybe it is something like that, but I'm just my own personal opinion on it that it seems a little weird to me. It seems a little weird in how it's going about, man. But maybe that's just me. We got Dylan Kane in the building. Says, "Yo, Haize, Am I the only fan that thinks it's great that we're coming together well at the back end of the year? Picks will be what they will be. Give me back-to-back team wins." I mean, no, I don't think you're the only one. I said it before. I had a whole rant on it on a video that I think that because we came into this season thinking the Bulls had to be bad to keep to bottom out to keep a top 10 protected pick. That a lot of people have just kept that mindset, right? This is a very deep draft. And of course, I would love for the Bulls to pick earlier. I want the Bulls to get Derek Queen or Kaman Malowik. I want the Bulls to be able to get one of those guys. I would love the Bulls to be able to get an Ace Newell. Make no mistake about it, right? But I think watching these young players figure it out, it's special. Right now, you also got to factor in right? Some people look at this team and they're like, Trey Jones isn't part of the future. Zach Collins is a part of the future. Kevin Huerter's not part of the future. Hell, some even people look at it and say Kobe White's not going to be part of the future. So they're attacking it from the perspective of we're winning with players that aren't necessarily part of what they view as our future. And I guess I can I can understand it, but not agree. Right? Those are very different things. So I don't agree with that mindset, but to a certain degree, I can understand it, right? And I think that's what you got to look at for in this one. Is the audio off on y'all? Listen, Restream is messing up in general. Restream is just I can't see y'all comments. Let me try to refresh real quick. Don't leave. I'm gonna refresh the stream real quick. All right. I don't know if that's gonna make it any better. I am seeing comments now, so that's good. I'm seeing comments now. Let me know if it sounds better for y'all. Brother Haize, let's just hope for playing with heart. Look past winner. And I said that early in the season. It's not about win or losing. It's about development, right? And so, we'll see how that comes together overall. Hopefully it does come out good for the Chicago Bulls. And All we can do is hope for the best. Let me know if the audio is still kind of wonky. Let me try one other thing. I don't think that's gonna help though. That's in my headphones. I want that to go. Oh, we want that to stay. Yeah, I don't know, y'all. I don't know what's going on today. It sounds better. Okay, good. Maybe the refresh did it. Restream is piss poor, man. I don't know what's going on. I got the Bulls winning 118 to 125 in a close and hard fought win. Shout out to you on that one. Shout out to you. Do you believe the only way to establish a winning culture is by winning? Some people want the Bulls to tank for years, but then they ignore what the Sixers are now. You can't mention the process in Philly. Well, I don't think let's not act like Philly hasn't had seasons of over 50 wins, right? Because they have. What Philly's going through right now is more so because of injuries, not necessarily, but it did take them a long time to come out of that, right? So it wasn't like an immediate thing. I think overall, you just gotta do what you gotta do. Like there's no one way that's guaranteed or not. There are some teams that tank and they end up coming out over the other side and win. Look at the Cavs with LeBron, right? Look at some people say the Spurs tanked to get Tim Duncan. I more so think that it's because they had a major injury, but however you want to look at that. But then there's no guarantee that tanking is going to work either, because you can tank for years like the 76ers did, and you ain't got shit to show from it. You got one player from the process era, and that's Joel Embiid. Jahlil Okafor out the league. Michael Carter-Williams out the league. Nerlens Noel, I think he's still in the league, but didn't really turn into much for you. Ben Simmons, head case, right? So it's no one way to guarantee anything. Nothing's guaranteed. And so because of that, you just got to go through whatever you feel is the right decision and come out on the other side of that and hope that it's going to work. That's all I can say. Have to start building winning habits at some point and create a good culture for young players. That's a fact. That's a fact. Vucevic versus Steven Adams. Who you got? If he plays like he did last game, I'm not picking Vuce over anybody. I'd pick a dead carcass over Nikola Vucevic with how he played last game. It's me, Haize. I'm the fan who believes these wins won't meaningfully contribute to our future beyond a shittier draft pick. I mean, hey, I say this, right? If these players are on your future, winning does like again, Derrick Rose was able to come to a team that had been winning, and we were able to hit the ground running. Jimmy Butler was able to develop on a team that had been winning, right? Even look at Michael Jordan. The Bulls sucked before Michael Jordan. It took a long time for us to learn how to win, even with the talent of Michael Jordan. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think still there's a case to be made that talent is the end all be all, right? So even if you have a losing culture for a while, as long as you can hit the shift once you get talent in here, but then again, you never know. You never know. In New England, the Patriots way started and ended with Brady. In Miami, it appears Heat culture was based on Jimmy. My question is, what player will represent Bulls culture in the future? That's a great question. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Like, I think Giddey being a hard fall player, there's a case to be made that, especially if he keeps giving effort on both sides of the ball, regardless of how successful he is, he can do that. Ayo could definitely be a culture setter. You look at his ability to play multiple positions, just no matter what the role is, that can be a culture setter, right? I mean, you see, we still got to develop the culture though, right? We don't even know if we have the culture for sure yet. This is just a hot stretch. You can't really call that a culture yet. Yeah, Spurs lost David Robinson and Sean Elliott. They were just bad. Spurs didn't tank. And that's always been my mindset. When I'm in that argument, I'm like, the Spurs didn't tank. They were just bad. But some people like to say that they tanked. And that go back to this one. That's why when Stephen No had his tweet the other day about, I don't know why Bulls fans don't believe tanking works. And then he listed a bunch of number one overall picks that made their teams be contenders. And I think only one of those teams had actually been teams that tank. And I think people confuse getting a high draft pick with tanking. You don't always get a high draft pick because you tank, right? Look at the Atlanta Hawks. They got the number one overall pick. They were in the play-in, right? So there's always a merit in the case to be made that if you pick higher, you have a better chance to get that diamond in the rough, but you don't always tank to get there, right? So I think you got to look at that as well. Yeah, Spurs didn't tank. They were okay. And with their main guy injured out for the year, Robinson. They had no talent other than Elliott. Exactly, and that's the way that I always look at it as well. Which center would play better with Giddey? Come on, Queen, Sorber, or Wolf? I think you can't go wrong with Kaman, Queen, or Sorber. I think they can all play. I'm sorry, or Wolf. I think they can all play really good with Josh Giddey. If I had to do my pick between those guys, we're actually just having this conversation in the Discord. I think Kaman has the higher ceiling. Derek Queen has the higher floor. And I think when you look at Derek Queen's motor, you love that next to Josh Giddey, but Derek Queen really is not a lob threat. He's not an above the rim center, and his mid range has been shoddy, right? So I hate really breaking down like before getting heavily into the tape on those type of questions. I'd probably say Kaman just off the top of my head, but Derek Queen isn't a bad case there either. Always wondered, Haize, who was the better, Grant or Rodman? They both won 3 rings with the Bulls. Oh man, that's a great question. The better all-around player is Horace Grant by far. The better defender is Dennis Rodman by far, right? So it really depends on how you view that. But I think, especially because Horace was also younger during that stretch, I think you can make a case for Horace, but you can't knock Dennis either. Haize, they said Tim Duncan said he was more dominant than Shaq. He was in some ways. Not more physically dominant, but you're talking about overall in the game. Man, you got to like people kind of really forget how good Duncan was defensively for years and years. Do you see it as more likely Zoe or Jones is on the team next year? And do you see it more likely than Giddey, Kobe, or Io starts next season, or Giddey, Kobe, P. Will? Damn, Von, ask that's a mailbag question. Yeah, this is a pregame show. I'm not here to have these high level thinking questions. No, I'm just fucking with y'all. I'd say more likely Zoe just because he has the contract. So I'd say Zoe just off the nature that he actually has a contract with the Bulls. So theoretically, his spot's locked in. Now, as far as Giddey, Kobe, Io, or Giddey, Kobe, P. Will, I'd probably say Giddey, Kobe, Io, personally. I just don't know. Like, I feel like Billy Donovan's finally woken up to that P. Will just isn't a starter at the NBA level. But, we'll see. Kaman didn't pick up a basketball until 2019. Seems to have a high IQ. Should pair well with Giddey. And that's the thing. That's why I said Kaman has a higher ceiling, because Kaman is late to basketball, right? Like, he is very late to basketball. So he, like, just off the nature of that rawness. And that's why I love that so many people, like, now, I hate that Flag went down, but I love that Kaman's getting so much more opportunity with Flag down, because I think people are really starting to realize, like, hey, this Kaman kid got it all. One of the centers in the draft, which ones, in your opinion, could be a lob threat, shot blocker? But also, listen, y'all gonna have to send in some mailbag. Josh, you especially, you're gonna have to start calling. You always got these deep questions, but don't ever call in. Haize, it would be interesting to see out of the last 10 championships, how many of them were teams that got and kept the number 1 pick all the way to that title. Well, I think there are only a handful of number 1 overall picks that have ever won a title with their team. Hakeem, then Tim, LeBron, and LeBron left and came back. But I think that's it. Now I can Google that real quick. I don't think there are that many number 1 overall picks that won titles with their team, with the same team that drafted them. Let's see. Okay, so I got the list for you here. Give me a second. So yeah, only a handful of players. So Cazzie Russell in 1966 with the Knicks, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the Bucks, Bill Walton with the Trailblazers, Magic Johnson with the Lakers, James Worthy with the Lakers, Hakeem with the Rockets, David Robinson with the Spurs, Tim Duncan with the Spurs, LeBron James with the Cleveland Cavaliers, even though he left and came back, and Kyrie Irving with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's it. So it's not a lot. Like, and then it's not a lot. It's not a lot. Come on, as a shot changer would definitely impact opponent's field goal percentage near the paint. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm telling you, don't miss Rasheer Fleming as a center, either 6'9", but 6'7" 5" wingspan, more athletic than Queen, better defensively, 40% for three, comp is Bam Adebayo. Yeah, I get that. And I'm not knocking him, especially if the Bulls keep winning and they drop their pick, he would be a great pick for the Bulls. But Derek Queen, come on, Asa Newell, these guys have way higher ceilings than Rasheer Fleming. Way higher ceilings than Rasheer Fleming. If a middle to later first round, I agree with you there. 100% agree with you there. I almost rather have Wolf over another guard because of his ball handling, and maybe Billy sees that and his height and maybe plays him. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Haize Thompson is out tonight because if he doesn't play, that it definitely helps us out offensively, although they still have Dylan Brooks. Yeah, he's out. Does the lack of championships for number one picks say more about the organization or the players? I mean, a mixture of both, right? Because there's some number one picks that just don't work out, right? And there are also some organizations that just don't understand how to build around guys. So it's a mixture of both. Giddey playing? Yes. Josh Giddey. No, I mean, no, he's not playing. He's not even, no, he's not. I told y'all he's not probably coming back until next week. He may miss some of next week as well. Who should we keep? Sticks or Zach? Both. Vooch is the one that should go. Neither one of those guys should go. They both should stay. Most likely, Bulls rely on developing picks the next 2 years or trade for another young. They're not gonna trade for a rising star. The Bulls are not. They've already said it. They're not giving up any more. They've learned from the first round picks that they gave up to build the previous team. Right? They gave up 4 first round picks. So the Bulls are not trading for a rising star. I keep telling you. I told you that on Twitter, my boy. When I see Brooklyn with 4 firsts, I just shake my head. You know, it is what it is. I see the talent of Wolf and Queen, but am I wrong for just wanting a tall, athletic player at center for once? No, no, I understand that, right? But I think that in the modern NBA, it's more about length than it is necessarily about height, right? Like look at a player like Al Horford. Like that's why I look at Derek Queen is like a more modern version of Al Horford. He's been an amazing center his whole career, right? So, you know, I get what you're getting at there. I completely understand your plight there for sure. You know, just see what happens. We'll see what happens. But let's not act like Danny Wolf isn't 7 foot, though. Danny Wolf is 7 foot. Do you think the Bulls will get Portland picked next year? Keep in mind, the Portland Trailblazers have to make the playoffs, not the play-in, the playoffs. I don't see it. Slightly off topic, but shout out to Javon Freeman Liberty, 14, 13, and 10 today for the Windy City. Shout out to Javon Freeman Liberty. By the way, I didn't mean any harm on mailbag. I'm just tired of people crapping on White when he's had to do the most adjustments of any Chicago Bulls player in the past 7 years. Again, I mean, who said you meant any harm? Who said you meant any? Shay, don't start acting sensitive, bro. Who said you meant any harm? If you had a choice between Al Horford and Al Jefferson, who'd you? Al Horford every single day. Every single day, Al Horford. Because not only especially at the beginning of his career, I know he's had some health concerns, of course, as he's gotten older, as a lot of players do. But when you look at the course of his career, come on, man. Should we call up Javon? We're not calling up anybody, especially not any more guards, brother. So you believe they won't trade for a player? Do you believe Billy will be here after this year? I mean, yeah, he has a contract for next year, so he's going to be here next year at least. But this front office and ownership is tied to Billy Donovan. I said it people can go back into my the archives when Billy Donovan came out on that interview and said, "I talk to Jerry Reinsdorf every day." I literally told everybody then Billy Donovan's going to be here for a long, 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 long time. Because once you're a Billy Donovan, keep in mind, Doug Collins, still getting paid by the Chicago Bulls. John Paxson, still getting paid by the Chicago Bulls. Joe Noah, still getting paid by the Chicago Bulls. Hell, Scottie Pippen was still getting paid by the Bulls until the beginning of the 2022 season. Once you're a Jerry Reinsdorf guy, Jerry takes care of you. And keep in mind, remember, he wanted, instead of hiring Vinny Del Negro, they wanted to hire Doug Collins. But Doug Collins was like, hey, man, listen, I don't know if I really want to do that. I don't know if I want to work for you like that. So it just is what it is, man. It is what it is. Jay Lee, where have you been? We re-signed Javon Freeman Liberty months ago. Months ago. Only way the Bulls get that Portland pick is if they win the lottery and get an instant game changer. And if there's parity in the West like the East this year, which isn't likely, but you never know. Yeah, I mean, unless there's a bunch of injuries in the West as well, like now, the Mavs, man, like the downfall of the Dallas Mavericks. I can't wait to do a video on that over on NBA Central. I'm gonna wait till the season ends, but one of the first videos after the season ends is how the Mavericks went from one of the most promising franchises in basketball to one of the most questionable franchises in basketball with one singular move. So yeah. Horace Grant and Tony Kukoc will still get paid as well, aren't they? Ambassador roles. I don't know if Horace Grant, he's not listed on the media side anymore. Tony Kukoc isn't either, but that doesn't mean, it is what it is there. Who would you want as a coach after Billy, assuming he's goes into the front office? Oh, I said this multiple times. Chris Quinn from the Heat. Chris Quinn is my guy. I think Chris Quinn, and this is just the God's honest truth. Chris Quinn is the modern Tom Thibodeau in the sense that he's that assistant on the bench that does a lot more than people know. And of course, Eric Spoelstra is an amazing coach, and he does a lot too. I'm not saying Spoelstra's skating by, but when you listen and when you hear things, Chris Quinn is coming up with a lot of the game plans. On their championship run, I believe the second one, he was basically their defensive coordinator. Chris Quinn is that guy. I'm telling y'all right now, Chris Quinn is that guy. So, I'm just saying, look out for that. Look out for that. Chris Quinn is going to be a great head coach at the NBA level. Remember, I said it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it there. Chris Quinn is going to be great when he gets his opportunity to become an NBA head coach. Great. We got Quentin from Let's Talk Bulls says, what's up, bro? Hope all is well. Can't wait to see this team continue to tank with another win. That is hilarious. They have that with Craig, though, who came from Miami. No, it's not the same, though. Just because you come from Miami, it's not the same. Like, Dan Craig was head of player development. That was his main focus. So he's developed great players. He developed Bam. He worked with Tyler Hero very heavily. Like, he's been development. But Chris Quinn's different. I'm talking about X's and O's with Chris Quinn. Chris Quinn wasn't really, he's assistant coach. I'm not saying he didn't have a place in the game plan, but it's not the same. Chris Quinn is literally a coordinator there. Dan Craig was part of the staff. That's very different things. Very different things. I'm not gonna lie. Even though the Bulls make us pull our hair out, smash our TV, and have us crash out on a daily basis, nothing as bad as the Mavericks fan base right now. Even adding the Cowboy stupidity, damn. Yeah, man. Dallas is going through it, man. Dallas is going through it. I do wonder if the Kings blow it up. They may keep the pick in the lottery this year. Do they draft a guy or trade for a guy like Lonzo because the Kings need a point guard, but they could go get Trey Jones too? I don't think that they're going to trade that pick. I think in this type of in maybe some other drafts, yes. In this draft, I don't think that they do. I know that they don't want to blow it all up. That's part of the reason why they wanted a player like Zach LaVine back. And make no mistake about it, they've shown some flashes to where maybe if you get a point guard in there, they'll be okay. But we'll see. Yeah, I like Chris. I'm telling y'all, Chris Quinn is going to be that guy, man. He's going to be that guy. So we'll see. We'll see. But all right, y'all. Gonna get ready to wrap it up, man. I'll be back at halftime. Make sure you guys stay tuned in with us, man, here at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls. Oh, hold on. Wait, let me check to see if they got the lineups out before I go. My bad. I'm off my rocker. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Do we got the lineups? No starting lineups out yet. So it is what it is. Love you guys. Go Bulls. See y'all at halftime. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.